we're gonna be here a long time. Meet my new baby. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my van. I am so excited about this video today. So I am going to be showing you how I installed the Maxxfan into my van, and I'm so happy with how this van turned out. I'm looking at it right now, it's so beautiful. Can't wait to show you how I installed it. So if you want to learn how to do this, if you're doing something similar, you're just curious about how this works, it's a pretty simple process. It's pretty simple, but there are some different challenges that arose. Anyways, I made my way through it, and overall it worked out really well. I'm really happy with this fan. So let's jump in, shall we? The first thing I did was cover the fan on the inside with a piece of plastic, just in case anything fell through as I was working on top. After that, I was able to start the process of uninstalling the old fan. Step 1, take out all of the screws around the entire perimeter of the fan. Step 2, use a putty knife to cut through all of the old sealant. If all else fails, try using a hairdryer to heat things up. Okay, well, it's not coming all the way off, but basically. Once the old fan was finally removed, I had to work on removing all of this putty and gunk from the roof of the van so I could make a really clean surface to put the new fan on. Rust, and I needed to deal with that before I put in the new fan, so I went ahead and sanded that down and then followed that with a rust treatment. Multiple times before on the van, so I felt really comfortable using it without reading the directions first, but when I did read the directions again, I realized that it needed 24 hours to completely cure, so that ended up forcing me to kind of end my day there. I'm just going to check out the van and see how the rust converter is doing, probably throw on a layer of paint. So here's one spot. That was probably the worst spot, but it's looking really good. So it's definitely not like the most beautiful way you could do it. I mean, I'm just using like house paint instead of automotive paint, and yeah, it's not that pretty or seamless, but right now this is gonna do the job for me, so I'm pretty happy with it, but we'll see how it holds up. This is like where I painted yesterday, and it's already looking like rust is eating through it. Okay, so now that I have the old fan removed, all of the gunk removed, I have to figure out how to deal with these like channels that are running directly through where I want the vent to be. So when I took off the other fan, the way that the person who put that in did it is he basically had like little pieces of wood that fit and made it level. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. This hole is very convenient to be able to get my things. To be completely honest, this is real nice. I hate using the table saw. It freaks me out, and I don't like how that feels. So I tried to avoid it, but it kind of seemed like the best tool for this job. Anyways, I kind of cut it from both sides. So there's just like one little sort of a chunk on the inside. So I'm just gonna use a handsaw to try and bridge that little gap, and I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. I'm not sure if you just caught what happened, but basically I was gonna saw this in half. It fell out of my hand, fell onto the ground, and literally broke nearly perfectly. There's just a tiny bit right there that's not perfect, but I can sand that off or like use a chisel or something. This is great. To get the perfect angle on the sides that I needed so it would fit into the channel, I just used an orbital sander. Okay, the moment of truth. It's perfect. Alright, we got all the cuts done, and let's take a look. Some of them are perfect, sort of. Some of them, not so much, but it's okay, it should work. So the sun has just about gone down, and I'm losing light and probably annoying my neighbors with all of my power tools. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that a day and pick up tomorrow morning. I'm at the automotive store. Don't know if I treated the rust properly. I'm pretty sure I did it wrong, so let's go get some products. So I picked up a couple of things. First is this Rust-Oleum Rust Metal Primer. And then after that, I found this perfect match metal paint. So I figured that's perfect. I have a Ford. It's white. Should be good. So the first thing I did was use this wire tool attachment on the drill to scrape off all of the paint that wasn't going to work. So here's the thing. I sanded everything down and then cleaned it up with some mineral spirits, and none of the actual metal was rusting. So I'm not really sure what was going on. In these spots where there's the little channel, I've had a bit of a change of heart, even though I made these awesome little cutouts that I'm so proud of. I think I'm just gonna use straight up automotive filler to fill that and then sand it down. One note of caution about this stuff is that the fumes are so toxic smelling, so make sure if you're using this product you have a proper mask. I did have a proper mask, but the day after I did this I got a migraine, like a really gnarly migraine, and I don't know if it was this, but I also haven't had a migraine in like months, so use this product at your own discretion. So I'm not exactly sure what happened. I don't know if I lost a piece of footage or if I didn't record, but I ended up spraying the Rust-Oleum primer around the perimeter here. And then I just sanded down the body filler so that everything would be perfectly level. And then I followed that with a little bit more of the Rust-Oleum paint. That dried, I just cleaned it up and followed it with the white top coat. So I used this, which I thought was the answer. It seemed like it went on really well, but then I put a top coat, which upon reading the directions, I realized I didn't do this properly. It says, if using an auto lacquer, a test application for compatibility is recommended. Read the directions. These two paints do not like each other, and I'm gonna have to sand it off and try again. So at this point I was getting a little bit burnt out, but I had to keep going because I had a hole in my roof and I needed to make sure that all of the metal was protected, so I ended up sanding all of that off. It seemed like the Rust-Oleum wasn't actually necessary because I wasn't spraying it onto rust, I was just spraying it onto bare metal for the most part. So I decided to just use the regular white paint since I had already treated all of the areas that were rusty. This ended up turning out pretty well, I think. So the next step in this build is going to be building a little wooden frame to put around the inside. Let me just show you. So because the roof of the van is just a piece of sheet metal, it's much too thin to be able to mount this fan on top of. So I needed to build a wooden frame that would fit around this square so that I would have something to drill into, and that would really secure the fan. Next, I had to just mark where these channels ran because I needed to make some cutouts in order for this to fit flush. I just used a router to make these cuts. It was relatively simple, and if you've watched my video about making the floor, I did this about 45 times or something. So if you want to check that video out, I'll put a little link to it. Next, I just used some white primer to paint the top of the frame. The top of the frame is going to be touching metal, and once I screw everything together, I won't have an opportunity to paint it again. I might paint the rest of it, but I'm not sure yet. One thing that I want to do before I install everything is test the fan and make sure it works, just in case there's something wrong with it. Once I install it, I can't send it back. As you can see, there is a black and a white wire. The black one is marked as positive. That means this white one is negative. We get to this little contraption. So the black one is being grounded to the van, and then the red one is hooked into here, which is connected to this white wire here, which that actually goes back, and right now it's unplugged, but it would go back and connect into this little box here, and then that connects to the car battery, which used to run the fan. Here we go. It works! And then you can switch it here to go the opposite direction, which pulls air out. So now that I know it all works, I'm going to go ahead and unwire it and continue with the installation process. One thing that is important when you're installing this, it says everything in the directions, obviously. You should read those, but one thing is that these metal pieces need to be going on the sides of the hole, not like the front to the back. Otherwise, when you put the fan on, it won't be going in the proper direction. So make sure that it's going like this. Once everything was secure, I went ahead and pre-drilled all of the holes for the screws. After tracing the plastic, I went ahead and took it off and went around the entire hole with some butyl tape. Then I realigned everything and resecured it before I went ahead and put the screws in. Some of the screws went in a little bit crooked, but I was able to get all of them in, and since I installed everything, it has rained and I haven't had any leaks, so I think it ended up working out okay. Next, I just ran a bead of die-core caulking around the entire flange, and then I also put a little bit on top of each of the screws. Before installing the actual fan portion, I made sure it was in the fully open position, and then I fed the wires through and just set it on top. The fan comes with all of the hardware that you need included. So it came with all of the screws that went around, which are stainless steel screws, and then it has 4 shorter stainless steel screws, which you use to secure the actual fan to the flange. morning and I'm feeling very good. Let me show you. Between waiting for epoxies to dry, paint to dry, rust treatments to cure, research, trips to the auto store, etc. This project took me about 2 weeks. I tried to be as prepared as possible, but there were a few things that popped up in the way, but everything is good now. It has been installed and I'm really happy that I followed through and was able to finish it. It's definitely given me a lot more confidence in dealing with different issues that could come up, and makes me feel more confident just as a baby builder in general. So I'm very excited to keep going. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, I think that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I hope you are happy and well wherever you are, and until next time, I'll see you later.